Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed. Thank you for joining me. We are in the stream where we learn how to read. We're learning how to read. We're learning how to read in a way that we're not taught in our current society, because our current society teaches us to not see what is there, but interpret. What does this book mean to you? What are your opinions about this book? That's not reading. That's interpretation. And as we learn to read a kind of book that we're reading that bangs the hardest because it's written by a human being who has gone through the process that we've all gone through, we're all here to go through, learn understanding, learn the logos, because it's through understanding we can come to apprehend the understandable or intelligible nature of reality. It's through understanding that we prepare ourselves to verify our understanding in direct experience, giving us what we call knowledge. It's understanding and knowledge together that's called wisdom, and both of which you need to go beyond that experience of the realm of being or divine luminosity to know the one, or the self, or the one self, or the one itself. Know thyself. That's our job here. That's our purpose. So, in learning to read, we are learning how to think for ourselves. What we find is we live in a world where all of our authority figures haven't, because there have been very few people to take up the quest of man to know the self. Very, very few people. So what do human beings do instead? They play out the ignorance of their caveman ancestry to pretend to be a knower as an authority figure, to have power over people. And one good way of knowing someone who is abusing you or scamming you or blocking you from your intended purpose and functioning is anyone who is telling you, A, just believe me, bro. It's not just my beliefs and opinions. It's Jesus or God or whatever. Just believe me. Or someone who says, don't think. Don't understand. Don't make use of the ruling part of your soul. We've been looking at the three parts of our soul. We have an appetitive part, a part that seeks our goodness, to draw into us our goodness. We want to eat a good sandwich. We want to be happy. There is an outward moving part, that which seeks truth, in the Greek thumos. There's something propelling us to act in the world and seek our goals. That seeks truth. So there we have our inward desiring of the good, our outward moving to truth, and you can't do either of those things unless you learn how to reason. Otherwise, you won't be able to judge whether what you're being told is a scam or abuse, because you haven't learned how to make use of your own highest cognitive function that we have on this physical dimension, understanding. You are a slave, or a zombie, or an NPC. Lots of metaphors to describe those people who have not awakened to the fact that, hang on a second, everything I do is based on thinking. I better learn how to use it well. Because if I don't learn how to think well, I won't be able to understand the things I'm interested in. You want to play guitar? You got to learn how to understand the guitar. You want to build a rocket ship? You got to understand rocket science. You want to develop into your happiness? You have to understand the soul, the nature of reality, our movement through the development of understanding or mastery of the logos. That's formally called philosophy. Therefore, philosophy is the purpose for all people who have some sort of rulership over a soul, which is every living human being. The prerequisites to participate in our purpose or destiny is to have evolved to the capacity for self-reflection, ousia, and language. Notice, it's those who try and get you to deny those two things that are the grifters. or those that inflict genocide or suffering or slavery or oppression. Notice the opposite of self-reflection, curiosity, is certainty, confidence in, what's the word? Belief. So our purpose is to move from belief into understanding, because belief, you have to abandon both. Both. Because to accept belief, you have to reject your own thinking, the highest part of your soul. You have to sacrifice your highest functioning to be a believer. So when somebody passes on some this or that religious belief or spiritual belief or political belief or whatever belief, racist belief, not only do you have to swallow the pill of the false belief, but you also have to swallow a second pill. That is, this is a good use of mind. In other words, if I have to believe something negative about myself, number one, my mind, I can't think, I have to believe this jabroni, and my understanding. Those are the two highest states of self. The first, second, and third hypothesis of Parmenides, the self, which is our ultimate goal, or the first and final cause. Mind, which is the paradigm of reality. If you want to understand anything, well, everything, if you want to understand your spiritual quest, and if you want to do philosophy, it is formally the study of the paradigm or model cause. Mind reflecting on itself to know the nature of reality all at once as the model or blueprints, the paradigmatic cause. The study of that is called metaphysics. To talk about it and communicate it to others and remember it, you can make stories about it. That's mythology. That's also theology. So mythology and theology are essentially the same thing. The metaphors, stories, allegories that are placed upon the forces and principles of mind or the paradigm. That's what theology is. It ain't literal. There isn't a literal Zeus having sex with cows or whatever. Therefore, the true study of theology isn't to look at everyone's made up stories about Jesus, everyone's made up stories about Zeus, because everyone will make up stories based on their own level of ignorance and level of development of understanding. Those two things we have to do: purify our ignorance and develop our understanding. Therefore, what we've been doing in the text is recognizing, hang on a second, Paul's idea of God and Paul's understanding of Jesus is horrifically bad. That's why scammers in our modern age, those that insist others believe them, bro, so they can be abused and manipulated, religious Christian religious people quote Paul because he is sick. Horrific. Whereas Mark's stories about Jesus are not the same. Therefore, people who say just study the Bible are stupid. Because Paul is doing something completely different than Mark. They're different people. And of course they are. Similarly, as we study the Greek gods, we want to look at somebody who is studying metaphysics. How does Proclus or Plato or Socrates or Pierre Grimes talk about the gods? Because they use it in a specific way, the correct way, the intended way, to allegorize the metaphysical principles that we're here to understand, because it's that use of understanding which is the instrumental cause. So we have our final cause, that which is this for the sake of which. So to use our builder analogy, Billy wants a house to live in. That for the sake of which, the first and final, but you need the blueprints or the model or the paradigm. That's mind. The study of that we can do in our highest functioning or the instrumental cause. For the house and Billy's house, that's the builder. So our purpose, therefore, is to develop the instrumental cause of understanding, and we perfect the functioning of skateboarding by reflecting on Rodney Mullen or Tony Hawk, the ideal model of skateboarding. right? You perfect your functioning as a medical doctor by reflecting on the model of the healthy body, or the greatest surgeon, or the model of surgery. So metaphysics or theology or mythology or philosophy is nothing other than our intended function as a human being, the instrumental cause, our highest functioning, not the appetitive or seeking of our bringing into us our good, not our outward seeking of truth, but the third fundamental force that we call the soul. The soul is just a word for those three forces taken as unity, that which guides both. If you have to judge what's good, otherwise you'll be scammed by those who undermine the two fundamental capacities that make us an evolved species. Ousia, self-reflection, don't do that, just believe me, and logos. And what's a way of undermining logos? Don't think. Thinking is a sickness. Thoughts are bad. Don't judge. When someone says that, what they're really saying is, don't judge me. Be as stupid as a rock. Now, because everyone will have some level of rejection of the logos and rejection of ousia, because that's what it means to be in a problem. And as we are learning, the instrumental cause, our highest functioning or understanding, the art of the dialectic, is the necessary skill needed to remove human problems. Just as you can't fix a toaster unless you understand a toaster. You can't not think yourself into fixing a toaster. You can't believe yourself into fixing a toaster. You have to make use of your thinking. That's the dialectic. Therefore, unless people have gone through, we've talked about the instrumental cause or the dialectic or understanding to reflect on the paradigm, that's our upward movement or our perfection. But the other use of understanding is to reflect on our downward, on our problems, on our beliefs, or that which undermines our understanding, undermines the nature of reality as knowable, or undermines ourself as our highest goal. Don't do your self thing, be a believer, be a Jones, be a Buddhist, be a Taoist, be a Muslim, be a MAGA, be a follower of me, bro. Because what we've seen is, for every one of these cores, there is the opposition to it. So, as we talked about the ideal first and final cause, to know the self, that has to involve also having the paradigm. You don't sacrifice the model. You have the model, just as when Billy has a place to live, he's making use of the making use of the builder, the blueprints, the building, and the bricks. The bricks don't disappear. In other words, you don't drop it, you take it with you. Because why not? That's the learning and nurture we're here to have. We're here to do. You can't take your Bugattis, you can't take your Instagram likes, but you can take your development of your instrumental cause understanding and your understanding and experience of the paradigm minding mind, or self-knowing itself as existence. But for every positive cause, there is the problem version of it. So our problems aren't because there's a evil in reality. That's a fairy tale used to, again, reject understanding. Don't understand problems, just forgive. It doesn't fix anything. Don't understand problems, just blame immigrants. It doesn't fix anything, Donald Trump. Don't understand problems, just blame the devil. That doesn't fix anything. Grifters, liars, scammers, unjust people manipulating people. Savagery, the savagery of the human condition. The cause of all human problems and bloodshed. Therefore, for every one of these causes, there's an opposition to it. Don't know this. Don't reach your self goals. Your self is garbage. Don't use the mind. Your mind is garbage. Don't understand, thinking is garbage. But we're missing two causes. How do we, as we can reach the paradigmatic cause through the perfection of our reasoning aspect, the ruling aspect of our soul, that which is able to judge what's good and judge what's true and worth seeking, so it rules the other two parts of your soul. If you're not ruled, you are in some kind of sickness of the soul. If you're ruled by the outward seeking part, you're the timocratic soul. So Socrates has 5 classes of soul that represent the ideal, the philosopher king or the aristocratic, to be ruled by the logos. But if you're ruled by the outward seeking, timocratic, often warmongers, oligarchic, to be ruled by money. And of course there's the democratic, which doesn't pick any team. Whatever's the opinions of the day. And of course that would be the establishment left, that kind of ignorance, which sets the condition for the tyrant to come along and say, hey, these Democrats aren't doing anything. They're not solving problems. They change their beliefs depending on who pays them, or depending on market research. There's no understanding, there's no model, there's no ultimate goal of knowing the self, and there's no use of those things to care for everyone. So you need me to be a tyrant, says the fascist, says the Donald Trump, the Putin, the Hitler. So therefore, the democratic soul creates the conditions for the tyrannic soul to say, make me a dictator and I will drain the swamp. So, what's the actual activity cause that allows us to develop our understanding? Which is needed to A, purify our false beliefs, and B, perfect our functioning by reverting on the model, to reflect on the model, that's philosophy. To reflect on the false model you're carrying about self, mind, and thinking that's causing your problems, to surface your false beliefs, that's philosophical midwifery. But how do we take part in those, in that, if our false beliefs are blocks because they block us from that very activity? We believe that we already know, so why develop understanding? We believe that thinking is a sickness, so why use thinking? We believe that we're stupid, or we're not important, or we're a small bean in a bad noodle. Given that, the blocks that we have to purify specifically are blocks because they block us from the logos, they block us from ousia, and they block us from the self. We're stuck, we're in a bind. Catch-22. The thing we have to learn to remove our problems is what we're blocked from, because that's the definition of the problem. We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. So we give up. We go with the flow. We become a business bro, and we learn to abuse the ignorance of other people to exploit them for personal profit. We undermine the educational system, so make sure no one develops understanding and no one learns how to think and judge, so we can scam them into buying our product or invading the country we want to invade to make that delicious profit as a tyrant, democratic, oligarchic, or timocratic kind of sick soul. Just do that. Just spend your life learning how to abuse people through misusing the logos, undermining the self and ousia, to scam people through belief. Because that's what marketing is, right? Isn't that what business school is? People go to business school to learn false beliefs about magically capitalism works somehow. If everyone is seeking to exploit other people and harm them for their personal profit, then magically it will somehow fix everything. The lie, like a religion kind of, And what's the biggest department? The Department of Business Schools, the marketing department. What's the marketing department? How do we lie to people to get them to act against their own interests and for ours? Capitalism. The terrible sickness of our age. Or don't give up and live an unjust life, which is going to make you suffer and going to make people that you affect suffer, but also is going to cause a negative reincarnation because you haven't done your job. Instead of understanding the self and purifying your false idea of the self, you've spent your life further entrenching yourself in that false identity and your false beliefs. Meaning you'll have to pay the price or suffer what it's like to suffer the injustice of somebody doing that to you. Stuck in the cycle of reincarnation to Hades. But how do we solve our problems then, given the catch-22? How do we reach the instrumental cause of the dialectic of understanding, the skill of understanding? How do we know the paradigm of reality, ousia? And how do we use both to know the self? Considering the blocks that we all have from childhood, everyone who hasn't gone through a long process of philosophical midwifery will be stuck, will be ignorant. For some people, they can participate in these causes because of their character and nature due to their previous reincarnations. Naturally gifted people, rare birds, usually the people who tune into the stream. But for 99.9% of people, they're stuck. They're blocked from the development of understanding, and they're blocked from the removal of their beliefs. And specifically, our job is, at this stage of evolution, to move from the cognitive function of belief. So here's our Venn diagram. That's kind of a squishy one. So if you think about the self as the top circle, or the whole, and the bottom Venn diagram circle as parts, you've got the whole of parts, and parts. Or the self and existence. So the level of existence that's absent or can't participate in self, its model is belief and its activity is strict dualism. So there's our, hey, don't develop understanding, just believe and kill who we tell you to kill and, you know, be a slave to my ignorance. Or the activity, that strict dualism, that or materialism that opposes understanding. There is no understanding. Thinking is for idiots. Just, you know, do nothing. But I'm always thinking, because that's the highest functioning of the soul. That's one of the three aspects of the soul. Oh yeah, don't think about your soul. What? But I can't not think. Oh yeah, forget about that. Don't think about the fact you can't not think, because that would make you stupid like a rock. Forget about that. Just see, there's our activity of scammers that tell you don't think, do as you're told, don't go to college. What are the right-wing scammers trying to say? Don't go to college and learn how to think. That's a scam. By the way, all our children go to the best colleges, but not the poor's. We want to fuck with you. So, the activity cause of just the physical world, materialism or strict dualism, opposition to understanding and mind. The model, belief. The actual model of the greater, the level of mind, so human beings can make use of their mind, that's the activity of understanding based on the model of knowing. And of course, our questions are, what is the model and activity, the ousia and logos of the ultimate or the self? That's our goal, to carry those questions and answer them from the text. So our purpose, therefore, is to cross this line. because our human beings are stuck in belief until they learn philosophical midwifery and philosophy. But we said, hang on a second, you can't, because that's what your block is. Therefore, the only thing that will save us is some activity that allows us to bypass that catch-22, considering we have to recognize we're ignorant of our problems. If you think you know your problems, you have the certainty of belief. You are stuck in a problem. You don't know your problems. That's what a problem is. The Dunning-Kruger effect. People who think they know their problems the most certain are the most stupid and ignorant. Therefore, the activity cause, the ideal activity, the necessary activity we're all here to do is dream analysis. Because your dream maker knows what you don't. Therefore, all through the text, we've been reflecting on what must the dream master know. Must it know the paradigm of reality to create each moment, to create each dream that reflects your spiritual development, knowing your past, knowing your present, even knowing your future? You can have prophecy dreams. Dream analysis, therefore, is necessary. So unless somebody has gone through the activity of dream, not interpretation, that's your problem. Analysis, in other words, learning the language of dreams. What's that? The dialectic. Therefore, the first cause is to make sure all of our material conditions are met. You are taking care of your body. You're making sure your soul is ruled by reasoning and not by your desires or your outward seeking of fame and honor. You are so you're having the virtues. So you make sure this is all the material cause, making sure you're keeping your cool, temperance. You are doing what the Logos says, even though it feels wrong. What seems like common sense is your beliefs, but you follow the Logos anyway, and you drop your masks and beliefs. That can be scary because these are all solutions to problems that you came to when you were 4 years old. These have been the way that you relate to the world. I know how to manipulate through my mask. To drop my image and my mask and my way of being takes courage to follow the Logos. Wisdom is, of course, to be ruled by the reasoning part. That's the virtue of Logos. To do it at all times. Justice. So these are the 4 virtues that you develop to reach the ideal material cause. Also, we talked about to reach the ideal material cause, you have to be caring for your body. You have to be reading. Hey, you can't be a surgeon unless you're reading a medical book. Can't be a mechanic unless you're reading a engineering book, and you can't be taking care or creating the ideal material cause of your soul unless you're reading the book of the Logos, the books we read on stream. You have to be sharing your words as best you can, sharing your highest vision and understanding, pushing yourself to reach your highest goals of excellence. So, because only in that activity can you discover the dialectic. And it's the dialectic that marks all of these high causes. In other words, if you're not reading, you're not reflecting, you're not practicing the virtues, you will never discover the dialectic. Discover that there is a paradigm of understanding called the dialectic. That's knowable in knowledge, and you can function through it through understanding as the instrumental cause and the paradigmatic cause. The two together is what is the name wisdom. What is the name? Is the name Sophia, or wisdom, philosophy. So therefore, the reason we read, the reason we talk, the reason we keep our cool, the reason we try and stay on the text, the reason we try and not go down tangents to do with our own bullshit ass opinions. No one gives a shit about your opinion. Because I don't have no one else has your opinions. Only you have your opinions. That's why no one gives a shit about your opinions. That's why people have to wait till they have kids, or they become a dictator or start a cult where they can force people through fear and abuse and manipulation to give two shits about their dumbass opinions. Nowhere in life do people care about your opinions, because they're just opinions. You care about understanding. You want to go to college to develop understanding. You want to read the book to develop understanding. You want to be a better chef by understanding how to cook. We all seek understanding, whether you like it or not. And the only reason you won't like that fact is because you are still carrying your own parents' teaching, give up understanding, because I had kids so I can pretend to be a knower, passing off my opinions, because knowing requires all of those material causes. The virtues, reading, reflecting, discovering the dialectic. That's so you become the material cause so that you can then engage in dream analysis. Necessary to remove your false opinions and beliefs and develop true understanding. If you haven't gone through that, you're not a knower. But everyone wants to be a knower, that's what we seek. Therefore, people take belief and opinions in place of that. So, if you haven't gone through dream analysis, midwifery, and philosophical dialectic, you will be in opposition to what we're saying, because that's what a block is. It's in opposition to everything we've just been saying. So, all of those are the prerequisite causes. The material cause, care for your body, and the virtues, put the virtues in here. Practice the virtues. So you're caring for the body and soul. Practice. Whoops. And practice the virtues. So it's body and soul you're caring for. The virtues you need to practice along the way, otherwise you'll give up, because your beliefs will always be telling you to give up. So you're gonna have to practice the virtues so you can learn the thing to remove the beliefs before you give up, because it's only those beliefs telling you to give up. The activity, read. Now that's what we're doing on the stream. We're learning how to read properly, read without interpretation, to give rise to the questions and give rise to the answers from the text only. Instrumental, talk about it. There's our Logos and Usia, Apollo and Aphrodite. And in doing so, you give rise to Hermes. You discover that there is an intelligibility behind everything. That's our purpose, to master the dialectic. Only in discovering there's a game to play can you say, oh, I want to play the game. So all of these are prerequisites to discover the dialectic. But after you discover the dialectic, you're still carrying all the learning and nurture. And you need that too. Why? Because once you've discovered our purpose is to master the dialectic, you have to have those virtues, be reading along the way and sharing your words so that you can transition into the material cause of mind. You've gone from the physical to mind. What makes mind, Usia and Logos. So all we're doing is taking those same 5 causes and stuffing in Logos and Usia. Therefore, what's the material cause, like bricks? What happens to bricks and wood and nails as the material cause for building a house? Over here. It's the material cause because you work with them. They're pliable. You use them. So as the soul, how do we become a soul that can be used with the Logos and Usia? Can't be certain. Can't be in opposition to the Logos against thinking. You can't be in opposition to self-reflection and curiosity, certainty of belief. Hey, to be in a belief, whatever belief it is, You can't be seeking anything new. You can't go out of the tradition. You do everything you're told when you were 3 years old and you never change. That's why right-wingers, and which is the political group bound by the Pathologos, they are the Pathologos party. That's what right-wing is. And religious folk are stupid because they can't learn. Because if they learn more than their priest, then they're out. Or sacrificed, or killed, or crucified, or exiled. Hey, you're different from tribe. Call ICE. That person's different than me. The nature of human ignorance and savagery. The opposition to self, ousia, and logos. So I missed one. So you can stuff self in there as well. Stuff self, ousia, and logos, the three qualities of our true excellence, into these virtues. So, how do we become the material or receptive cause, like bricks that can be worked with, cement that can be used, cement that can be molded, an open, curious soul, seeking the self, ousia, and logos, and seeking to remove our false opinions and beliefs about self, ousia, and logos. But also, you have to be aware that the method of doing that is the dialectic, which is the model cause that you discover in the physical world through reading and reflection and developing the virtues. In other words, if your goal is to be a basketball player and you don't know basketball exists, you better be reading and reflecting and training your body up so you can read, oh, basketball exists. How can you play basketball? How can you be the greatest, what's a weird sport? Croquet player or hurling player if you've never heard of hurling? Doesn't make sense. And if hurling isn't just a weird sport played in Ireland, I think, but it's the literal meaning of life for all human beings, the only activity that solves problems and the only activity we're here to master to reach our highest excellence, everything else is some sort of derivation of it, or I don't know, you can use it complementarily, I guess. There's not just hurling you have to learn about, it's the soul you have to discover, the thing that you are and you're taking care of. So, only when you learn about the dialectic, only going through these physical dimension causes, our ideal functioning as the material activity, instrumental model of the physical world, can you get that for the sake of which be open and curious about being the material cause in the dialectic. In other words, being a soul pregnant with a problem or pregnant with a question. Question about self-reality and logos, or problem opposed to that. False image of yourself, a negative state of mind or being, and an opposition to the logos or understanding. Purification and perfection. Purify us, escaping the chains of fate and the prison of reincarnation, and perfecting our excellence, escaping fate and reaching our destiny. So, you are the ideal cause for human beings is the material or receptive cause, receptive to the logos, ousia, and self, or what we call sitting on the chair. The chair you sit on across from the dialectician. To engage in the activity, what's the activity that is from the self and tells you about ousia and logos, or your false ideas of them? Your dream master. It's a necessary activity. By definition, because you're blocked from what you're blocked from. Obviously, by definition. So on the chair in dream analysis. Now dream analysis, depending on what the dream is pointing to, can go either of those ways. You can explore your high states of mind, which is your upward movement through your reading. Again, you still have to be reading. So you want to become the best surgeon in the world. Dreams will help you towards that goal. If it's a meaningful goal and you're seeking it with excellence. But you still got to be reading the medical books. You got to have your nose in text. Otherwise, what's the dream going to say? If you've seen dream analysis from people who haven't yet picked up a Platonic dialogue or a Pierre Grimes book like the ones we're reading, dreams will say, do it. They do. They say, oh, you know, maybe you should get into one of these books. So it can perfect your reading and understanding that you've been learning about, but it can also purify your problems. By the way, it's also in reading that you have a personally meaningful and spiritually significant personal goal that you are seeking with excellence that's necessary to surface your blocks, because blocks are a block to that. If you're not seeking that, if you're content with mediocrity, you won't surface your blocks. So you have to be reading to do midwifery and philosophy. And those things happen as a result of dream analysis. Therefore, dreams incorporate both. So, what's our purpose or cause? To be a receptive material cause, the pregnant soul. Open, curious, reflective. Where's the joy? Where's the whimsy? Where's the childlike wonder? There, you, in your soul, on that chair.
Where's the joy? Where's the whimsy? Where's the childlike wonder, dude?
Right there. Isn't that right?
Oh, hey, what if we solved all of the basic problems of the world?
What we're doing. So, we said our stream here is to learn how to read without interpretation, but as we've just reviewed, it's also how we solve all the problems of the world. Because we're not solving a particular problem, we're solving the paradigm. We're understanding the paradigm of problems and the paradigm of excellence. The thing that makes it a problem, opposed to self, logos, and ousia. Actually, we can add to that. A problem that, well, our highest goal would be an open and receptive material cause to be participating in ousia and logos to reach the self. Now, what's ousia and logos? Curiosity, self-reflection, ousia, questions, and logos, understanding, thinking, answers, questions and answers. What's the single skill that makes use of both? The dialectic. Therefore, our purpose, the meaning of life, is to be the ideal material cause to be worked upon in the dialectic. Therefore, the nature of all human problems that R.M. Brown said, wouldn't it be nice if we solved them, is the material cause opposed, or is that which is opposed to the material cause. That which says, don't be curious, be certain in belief, so certain you are willing to kill who we tell you to kill. Religion, politics, or belief-based politics. To be a member of your family clan, the pathologos. To be opposed to a material receptive to the dialectic, what we call the pregnant soul or being in the chair. So for every ideal, there is its inverse that is in opposition to it. So what's the meaning of life? Actually, we just told you, to be a material cause as a soul receptive to the dialectic. But that sounds like an incomplete answer. You're receptive to the dialectic. That implies you are going to do the dialectic. Therefore, you have to say, what's the meaning of life? It's the material cause that participates in the ideal activity cause. What's the ideal activity cause? That is the dialectic dream analysis. Giving rise to the other functions of the dialectic that happen within dream analysis. The upward movement of understanding and the perfection and the purification. There are some other things that dreams point to, but that's a talk for another day. All incorporated in dreams. But hey, just looking at your dream as an open, curious soul ain't enough, because how you make sense of the dream will be your problem. That's why to be an open and receptive soul means to realize you're stuck. That's aporia, what Socrates calls being stung, or aporia. So confused and puzzled that you're completely all out at sea in the middle of the ocean, stung by a stingray, stung so bad that you can't move or talk or do anything. Why? Because if you go into a midwife talk or a dream analysis talk and you think you know better, you won't learn shit. Think you know your problems more than your dream master does. Ignorance. That's why on this channel we're not interested in anyone's personal opinions, because that's not a receptive material cause. It's your problem. The opinions and beliefs you are most fervently attached to, certain of, are the ones that most reflect your personal ignorance. And as we said, first of all, no one gives a shit about your opinions. There's only two options with opinions. I already have that opinion and I'll nod, but who cares? Or I don't have that opinion and I'll say I disagree. And that's it. If it's an opinion, it's not truth or understanding. So that's it. Or maybe we go to war, because you can't prove an opinion, it's just an opinion. Understanding, however, means you have understood the steps of reasoning that anybody can follow, anyone who is genuinely open and curious. You benefit, they benefit. That's the ideal functioning, or the ideal instrumental cause. That's what it means to be a friend. Friends do not say, believe me, bro. Friends do not say, don't think, bro. Friends say, let's both work together following the logos. So there's the instrumental or doer cause, stuffing in the logos and ousia. Let's follow the logos together. Let's ousia reflect together. Let's dialectic together. That's understanding. And at every stage, you're together. There's no speech making or monologuing. There's no tangents and distractions. Therefore, you need to master what it means to be a skilled thinker. That's why debates are bullshit, because the people doing debates are not skilled thinkers. They are playing out their family clan way of being, and their goal isn't truth. Their goal is to justify that way of being and find some use of words or conflict or fighting to justify their bullshit ass opinions, to be a loyal tribe member. That's the ignorant caveman NPC zombie savagery of human problems. That's why debates are bullshit. If you're having a conversation, bring in a dialectician, because it's a skill. You can't say, oh, I'm going to join the Olympics for breaststroke. Breast.
Just shut the fuck up forever. Disgusting. I'm so disgusted.
I'm sorry about making a breast comment. I'm going to be in the Olympics for breaststroke, but you haven't practiced and mastered the skill. Oh no, but I believe I can do it. You'll drown, you idiot. That's debate. Idiots pretending to be experts without the skill of understanding. Therefore, dumbass journalists repeating the talking points they're told to by their corporate masters. Politicians just yelling at each other. Fox News reporters just screaming ignorant racist dog whistles. Conflict, belief, that's debate. Dialectic is what it means to be a good person, because to be a good person is to make use of what makes you evolved. Reflection and logos. So it makes us different from cabbages and caterpillars. You're not a good person if you say, hey, just pursue your desires. Just don't think. Just be an idiot. Just hit your head against the wall until you stop thinking well. No. To be a good person is to encourage the highest functioning and the purpose of other people. Encourage them to reach their highest goals. what makes use of our highest capacities of ousia, our capacity to reflect on our own self and mind and understanding that cabbages and cows can't do? And what makes sense of language that we apply to that reflection? The dialectic. Therefore, to be a good person is to participate in the activity of the dialectic, or to master it so you can function as the skilled human being, the skill of the soul, the skill of the human being. That's the dialectic. The art of the dialectic is nothing other than the skill of being a human being. If you're rejecting the dialectic, you're rejecting your use of ousia and logos. You are rejecting what makes you a human being. So we can say these are the true race of man, or the new age, the dawning of the new age of mankind. Our true age, stepping into our purpose. So, the meaning of life, to be the ideal material cause, a soul open, curious, receptive to participating in the logos. Therefore, the ideal activity is it's participating in the dialectic, Therefore, the ideal activity is the dialectic, ideally dream analysis. But you can use the dialectic in anything you do. If you are cooking with your friends, you can shout abuse in debate with them. You can tell them they're going to hell because they're the wrong shape and color than your mummy and daddy and their ignorant bullshit. Or you can define what salt and pepper is. You can demonstrate how to use it in cooking a lovely steak. You can show the divisions of how you can apply that principle to other things so you can learn it as a skill. And you can take someone through that process so they can relate back to that original definition by going through that process. Now they understand how to use salt and pepper. In other words, you can use a dialectic in any activity. Any activity that is understandable. The ideal, of course, is dream analysis. Therefore, as you participate in that activity, you want to look out for someone who's got some practice of the dialectic under their belt, because they are needed as your midwife or dream analysis dialectician, because your understanding of the dream will simply reflect your problem. That's why it's called being on the chair. You're the curious one. That's why it's called being stung. You know you don't know. If you come in and say, hey, I want to have a midwife talk. I want to get rid of some of my problems. Oh, okay. So, by the way, have you noticed a repeating cycle of problems? A repeating? No, just this one bad thing happened. Get out of here. A problem is a repeating thing. All right, okay. Come back the next day. Oh, yeah, I've noticed a repeating problem. Spam.
It is spam. They are trying to convince them to flood the internet with spam.
That's what you're doing.
Honey, I will hold your hand while we read together.
Spammer. You should be reading with us, spammer.
It is spam. They are trying to convince them to flood, but you shut up. You shut the hell up for a second.
Kant would say some fucking bullshit. Fuck you. Actually, fuck you. Calm your fucking tits.
Calm your tits, spammer.
Further fill the internet with spam and AI slop.
That's what you do. So, come back when you've noticed a pattern. Okay, I've noticed a pattern. Every time I try and grift people at my job, I start feeling empathy or guilt. And it makes me not want to abuse people and steal their money through, I don't know, being a healthcare CEO or something. Oh, okay. So is that a personally meaningful goal, to abuse people to get profits through capitalism? Is it one that's consistent with your philosophical goals? No. Get out of here. It has to be a repeating cycle of a reoccurring problem that occurs when you're seeking your highest goals. Come back. Okay, I've got a meaningful goal. It's to be an enlightened Buddhist, which means to reject thinking, to get into the void of nothingness. Get out of here. We're not interested in personal beliefs and opinions from Buddhism or Taoism or from any ism. We're not interested in isms. Are you reading a book written by a master of the Logos? Are you in a Balboa translation of Plato or a Pierre Grimes book, or maybe even Proclus, Damascus, Plotinus? Ideally, the Parmenides. No. Get out of here. Come back when you got your nose in the book. In other words, make sure you're meeting all of the conditions for what's necessary to become or upgrade or level up to the ideal material cause. Okay, I've done that. I'm seeking my... So actually we could redo those goals based on what we've just been saying. I'm seeking my highest goal. I am in the activity of reading. I'm trying to function through what I'm reading. And I'm practicing the virtues along the way. Keeping my cool. Keeping courage. By the way, that to learn the virtues requires you to be in the Republic. So you have to be reading the Balboa translation of the Republic as well. So you've done all those, ticked all those boxes. Okay, I'm ready to get on that seat. Get on that chair. Midwife me out of my problems, please. Oh, okay. Your problem? What's your problem? Oh, it's this thing. You know your problem? Oh, yeah, it's this. And it's probably because I do this too much. Or I care too much. It's probably because I'm not praying enough to Jesus. No. You're not stung. To be a receptive material course is to understand you don't know your problems. That's what a problem is. And when you think you do, you are imitating the certainty of your parents because you don't know, but you're acting as if you know. That's the certainty, the arrogance, the Dunning-Kruger thing. Therefore, where did you learn to be confident about that which you fundamentally can't know? Your parents. Therefore, that certainty reflects the same certainty when your parents also didn't know shit and pretended they did. That's why you also need courage, as we say here.
This guy had to admit that the people in his life who helped convince him to be a conservative in the first place, parents, clergy, other authority figures, were wrong. Not only was wrong, but lied to him, and that he fell for it. All of that takes so much courage and character.
Character. You need the courage and character to say that, not just for conservatism, but any belief. The parents, your teachers, your priests, your figures, your whole extended family lied to you. Because that's what it means to be a Joneses, to be an Anderson, to be a Smith. And it goes all the way back to the cave. That's your flavor of certainty about that which you're ignorant about. That's your loyalty to your own dumbass opinions. That's not a personal attack because I'm not addressing it to anyone personally. It's universal. It's not a blame game or a shame game, and definitely not a punishment game. Therefore, to recognize that in both understanding, so you better be reading about the dialectic. Maybe you also have to be reading the philosophical midwifery book, or if that's a bit tricky or complicated, the unblocking or the pocket Pierre, which is kind of an abridged version. To know in principle that you don't know your problem, but also in experience. So in the activity of reading midwifery and philosophy, and the instrumental acting according to it, trying to solve your problems, you've reached the realization, I can't solve my problems, and in principle I understand why it's not possible. Now you're in the game. Now you've leveled up. Now you are your ideal material cause. So this is one of the answers to what's the meaning of life. To do all those other things so that you can be the ideal material cause receptive to the dialectic. which is makes use of what makes us human, ousia and logos, in order to seek the self. So there's our self, ousia and logos. So, and then you can, therefore, the meaning of life is to do that so you can participate in the ideal activity cause, engage in dream analysis, or any kind of dialectic, ideally dream analysis, with a dialectician. You can't just magic your way in knowing how to think. No, I went to Cambridge. I know how to think. Bollocks. I read Nietzsche. I know how to... Bollocks. I'm Christian. I know how to think. Bollocks. It's actually a skill. You can't imagine or believe or hope and pray thoughts and prayers yourself into learning how to skateboard, learning how to play guitar. It's a skill. Find yourself a dialectician. Because if you have one, you can be the material cause, they can be the guide, they ask the questions and you give the answers, and the mean term that you're both reflecting on that doesn't happen in debates because some dumbass opinion, it's my belief that 20% of women are bad and have small brains. What are you looking at to make that conclusion? What's the text? Or I read a study on some website, I did my own research. It's my belief that vaccines are the devil. Based on what? In other words, that's garbage. You have to be looking at the same text. There has to be some activity cause, also called the mean cause, through which the greater, the dialectician, and the lesser can both focus on it so that you can come together. If you don't have facts and evidence, if you don't have the text that we're reading, therefore, when people come in to this philosophy stream and they're ignoring what we're talking about and they're not using the text for their questions and answers, it's garbage. What do we do with that? Well, it's my opinion, like our old mate 2 days ago. It's my opinion that you shouldn't do philosophy. You're in a philosophy stream, you idiot. No, it's only opinions is my belief. Based on what? Common sense, my own experience, the school of hard knocks. Garbage, we can't, that's what we're saying. You can't do anything. No one gives a shit about your opinions unless you have some power over them and you're fucking with them. Even then, you don't want them to be. Therefore, never say, let me give you some advice. No, let me reflect in the activity we're literally here to do. Have a shared focus on a common text through which we can develop understanding. That could be the text that we read, or it could be your dream. Therefore, the activity is dream analysis. It gives you the mean term through which the dialectic, ideal functioning of ourselves, and the ideal material, the receptive pregnant party, can connect. And it's only through that activity that you can engage with the dialectician and become like the dialectician yourself. The more you engage in dream analysis, the more you learn the language. And it's that language, and that's the skill, and it's also the application of the skill that is the dialectician. So therefore, by being this material cause, receptive to the dialectic, you can engage in the activity of the dialectic dream analysis, and through that you become the instrumental cause. You become like the greater. Another example is the instrumental cause gave the yoga of love and logos, the true loving intimate relationships that human beings can have that facilitate their removal of problems and the movement towards their purpose. That's the activity that Diotima and Socrates could focus on. But because Socrates went through and mastered the Logos too, Socrates' dialogues is what we can read, the text that we, as the lesser, the material cause, We're open and receptive to the logos. We're not just reading Socrates so we can find a way of chimping him. Oh, he made this mistake, therefore let's throw out philosophy, and I can be a good Jew, or I can be a good Christian, or I can be a good Mormon, or whatever. That's not genuine. That's horseshit. That's your problem. That's ignorance. But if we are an open, receptive material cause to the logos and dialectic, then Socrates' activity of having these dialogues becomes the text we can focus on that allows us to connect through Socrates to Diotima. We become like Diotima. She happens to be a lady, so this is not a boy or girl thing. There are, of course, differences between men and women, different aptitudes, but both can go through this process. Diotima was also a master of the logos, as was Socrates' other teacher, Parmenides, who was a dude. Isn't that interesting? I just realized that the way I talk, because I'm thinking about, I'm going to go this camera, because I'm thinking about all these ideas as I say them, I'm also contemplating, I'm also learning as I go. That's the other thing. The dialectician isn't passing on his own personal beliefs and opinions. He's also following the logos. He's just had more he or she has just had more practice in following the logos. So in other words, as I talk and reflect through our reading, it's only because I went through the material course and learned how to read with a master of the logos. So as I read and reflect the way I'm doing, I'm also learning. I'm just more able to follow the logos because of that development of skill. But anybody can. That's why it's important to talk. But the ideas unfold. So as I think about them, I speak in a certain cadence that gives me the time to reflect on each individual word. And also, it's fucking awesome and interesting and meaningful. So I'm excited. So there's emphasis as well as that slow cadence. But I realize that, and also I'm kind of yelling into the microphone because maybe I should turn up I should be turning up my monitors. But I just was realizing that it might come across as preachy or something. That's not my intention, and that's not what I'm doing. But if I sound that way, please just ignore my tone. That's another ad hoc or ignoring of the logos way of Oh, we don't listen to your kind. I don't like your tone. Well, fuck the tone. Who gives a shit? Just follow the logos. That's our job. So, that's why we read. Because that becomes the mean term through which we can become the instrumental cause, our ideal functioning cause, the doer, the builder of the soul, the dialectician. We become like Diotima. Equally so, the dream analysis midwife and the dreamer can look at not the dialogue of Socrates, but their dream. That's why it's important to record the dream as soon as you wake up into audio and transcribe that as accurately as you can. You can use AI audio to text, but it is worth, if you've got the time, looking through it and making sure that it's a decent translation. Because the dream can hang on one word or one image. So we want to aim to get it as close as we can. So that's the meaning of life. These four in the physical world to reach the first and final cause, which is also the material cause of the next realm. That's the idea of hyparxis. So we might be able to update. We added virtues in here. So these four virtues in our everyday world where we are waking up so that we can, that for the sake of which the final cause become the material cause of the higher realm. the realm with ousia and logos, or dialectic. So, beyond the chair as the material cause receptive to the dialectic. To be engaged in the activity of the dialectic, ideally dream analysis. With a dialectician or doer cause, or dream analysis dialectician. And in that way, we become like Diotima, we become like our higher instrumental causes as well. Now, the paradigm of the logos that the dialectician is using as the model or paradigm cause is the dialectic experienced as ousia. Dialectic. So here you could say dialectic, dialectic as ousia, or mind knowing itself, turning around and knowing itself as reality. The brilliant light of being is your mind knowing yourself as mind. So that's these dots. Let's pick a color. What color? What color? I like this one. So, the dialectic as knowledge, or nous. Nous is the Greek word. We say, in English, we say knowledge with a capital K. Now the dialectic, so you are doing ousia, and you're recognizing yourself as knowledge, so it's also ousia and logos. But ousia is kind of, yes, it's logos too. It's logos as ousia, but it's so, ousia describes it better because it's mind turning around and knowing itself. The dialectic as the cognitive function of understanding. So anyone who says you can't understand, they are fucking with you, they're lying to you. That's going to be, if you believe them, that's a expression of your problem. Now you might say, hey, when someone said, hey, don't understand because my preacher told me it's the devil. You won't believe that person. Unless, of course, your parents said shit like that. But maybe it takes a Buddhist to come to you to say, don't understand. In other words, whoever you listen to when they tell you to reject understanding, that's a clue about your false image of truth that you're carrying as your problem. So the dialectic as the cognitive function of understanding that's called dianoia in Greek. Dianoia, which gives rise to the name of this new study that we are doing. What we're doing here isn't philosophy, because philosophy only pertains to wisdom. We're doing more. We're going beyond wisdom to the first and final cause. Wisdom is these two together. And it's through understanding we can reach every level, and it's through understanding we can purify our problems. Therefore, the new study isn't philosophy, love of wisdom, philosophia. It's philodianoia. That's the new study that we should be doing as the primary study, not business bro stuff or marketing stuff or even experimental science, torturing Mother Nature, torturing monkeys so we can make nuclear bombs and hand grenades, but not know how to use them or what if we should be doing it. A better way of understanding the paradigm of reality than just guessing based on monkeys being tortured. Philodianoia. That's the new study. That's the new subject. So, through understanding, we could call knowing ousia, we could call understanding logos. And as we said, both contain both, but understanding is more characteristic of logos or language or reason. So, there's our ousia and logos, both of which in the dialectic, of course. So our ideal functioning, the meaning of life, therefore, is to study philodianoia, which we do here, we're learning to do here, to become your ideal functioning as the dialectician through understanding. which also facilitates our experience of the paradigm. On the dialectic chair is the material cause, stung, to be stung or pregnant with an idea. Stung. The ideal activity, meaning of life, answer is the dialectic on dreams as the mean term or the mean cause or the activity cause. Dialectic on dreams. That's dream analysis. DA, dream analysis. Our ideal functioning is the dialectician of the logos, the skill of being a human. So it's also an art because it's a skill that's used to benefit. The paradigm is the knowing of the dialectic all at once, or knowing of it as ousia. Therefore, we can guess what all that would lead to. That's our question. What is the sake? If you had all of these ideal causes, what would that give rise to? The self. So there's our three hypotheses of Parmenides. The third hypothesis, understanding. The second, knowing or being. The first hypothesis is the one self. So therefore, the one self. But as the dialectic, super dialectic. Now, this is where Emma says the more holes the better.
Bless you. Do a pog, I'm cute. Like, I'm too pure. That one's perfect. They're secretly turned on by. The primary purpose of peanuts.
Okay. She didn't say it today. So notice when all of these are together, it gives rise to a different kind of functioning Billy living in the house. Just as when all the parts of the body are together, it gives rise to consciousness. Or with the virtues, the development of these four we talked about earlier is all to reach the ultimate state of self-phronesis. So it's some sort of state of phronesis or virtue of phronesis, state of the self, which is our ultimate goal, that for the sake of which we master the dialectic, as some sort of mega dialectician. I don't know, but that's the question. So we've given birth to a question. So really, what's the meaning of life is whatever this turns out to be. But you only get it through your desire to master understanding. Because that's the most meaningful goal or our highest functioning. It's needed to do dream analysis. It's what we're after as we're pregnant, and it's also the method to awaken ourselves to the model of the dialectic or the model of understanding. Therefore, understanding is what it's all about. Sorry, I'm behind in the chat. I just saw a chat message. Sorry, username. To ascertain the veracity and ethical implications of discourse. Fancy words. In a dialectical examination of context, intention, and consequence. Oh, okay, this is a response to my earlier question. How do you know? How do you judge? How do you judge whether something's real or false? That's what we're learning. Because the dialectician is the judge. He judges the questions and he picks the right one to ask. He judges the answers. Therefore, if you're ever in a debate with someone, say, hang on a second. Bring in a dialectician. You don't know breaststroke. Breasts.
Fucking bitch. I don't know if you know this, but like Weird dude exists everywhere.
I'm not a weird dude for saying breasts. I was hoping you would.
Dude, suck my dick.
Okay. Deal. Yeah, you're not a master of breaststroke. The other person isn't. So bring in someone who is. In other words, someone with the skill of judging questions and judging answers. That's the skill of thinking. That's how you judge. Therefore, if you want to judge whether your parents were lying to you, whether this belief is true, whether my image of self is true, if I want to judge whether this is the meaning of life, you won't be able to judge unless you develop the skill of understanding. That's the dialectic. That makes use of ousia and logos. That's what makes us human. Therefore, it's if you want to think well, if you want to do anything well, if you want to reason well, if you want to remove your problems or reach your highest goals and happiness, it's the art of the dialectic. So dialectical examination is enough in what you said. Necessitates an epistemological inquiry, weighting subjective experience against objective truth in an inherent subjective landscape of interpretation. It's quite a sea of, I think every single word in what you said has like 4 syllables. But yeah, the dialectic is how you judge, which is our purpose. To master the dialectic, which is some sort of functioning that we take with us in order to reach the self, but also we wouldn't leave it behind. We're going to throw it in the trash when you reach the self, when you know yourself? Of course not. Keep your memory of the model, keep your ideal functioning, and maybe, hey, do dream analysis every day still. On your own dreams and others. Why not? It's literally the highest activity we can engage in. So, if that's the ideal, we can recognize very simply what a human problem is. Something that opposes the one self master dialectician. So anything that says yourself is a bad noodle or inconsequential, or anything that undermines the essential meaning and dignity of all human beings, anything that treats people badly, is a problem because it's against our final cause, or that for the sake of which. Anything that undermines the experience of divine luminosity, anything that says you can't separate your soul from the body, anything that says only the physical world exists. There are no principles, there is no knowingness, there is no ultimate beauty, there is no divine luminosity, there is no therefore philosophy, there is no metaphysics, there's no mythology, and there's no true theology. Any of that garbage, which is what the weirdo guy from 2 days ago said, is wrong and a problem because it opposes the paradigmatic cause to know reality through understanding and experience the dialect. Anything that undermines understanding, don't think. Or you can't think, you're too stupid or whatever. Wrong, because your instrumental cause is thinking or understanding. Anything opposed to dream analysis or the activity of dialectic, but ideally dream analysis. Anything. Hey, dreams have no meaning. Dreams are just chemicals. Dreams are just, I don't know, probably a million ways you can undermine the significance of dreams because there are 8 billion people who do not reflect on dreams. At least not with the art and the skill. Anything that is opposed to you being open, curious, carrying a question about self, reality, mind, logos, and dialectic. Anything opposed to you having a puzzle about that, or a puzzle about your false image that undermines that. Anything opposed to being that kind of curious, open, stung. Anything opposed to you being on the chair of dream analysis, that's also a problem. So for every one of these causes, there is its opposition in belief, which would be not the true self, but the false image of yourself, your mask. Seems like common sense, you take it for granted, it seems obvious, it ain't. It's wrong. Not the true state of ousia or mind, but a negative state of mind or way of being that you function through. I'm a MAGA. I'm always grumpy. I'm always racist. I'm always looking for opportunities to hurt people, to feel strong like my daddy when he hurt me. Not the true self-functioning of the dialectician through understanding, but whatever is your family role. I'm the fighter. I'm the one who beats up people who are not Muslim. I'm the guy who attacks the Jews for not being Christian. I'm the guy who kills the Palestinians to be a good Jewish whatever. Your role. I'm the joker. I'm the defender. I'm the slave. I'm the bully. I'm the prison guard. Whatever your role is. Which means that to free ourselves from it, we have to discover that role. And that state of mind or way of being. To put words on and discover the self that we think we are and we ain't. So the ideal activity is dream analysis, which allows us to participate in the dialectic to see and follow the self logos. What's the opposite of seeing and following the self logos? Interpretation. Opinions. This is my opinion. I think you're being a bully when you don't agree with me. Fucking bullshit. So that we say,
I don't know if you know this, but like you just blow in from Stupid Town.
1 million viewers and probably 4 trillion dead-eyed, and I don't use this kind of terminology lightly, dimwits.
Dude, suck my dick. Big boobs, huge, massive tits.
Come on, that's not relevant. Whoop. Come on.
Bless you. Excuse you. Bless you.
Bless you and excuse you. I need that on its own button so I can press it whenever I want. So, interpretation, projection, debate, whatever. Any interpretation and not following the logos but the logos manifests everywhere. It's just more easy to see in dreams. It's more obvious. The self logos plays out your problems and the instruction to your excellence through your daydreams and your dramas and everything else. But usually is the metaphorical expression of the inherent falseness, whereas dreams do the same thing, but it's not you arguing with your girlfriend or fighting with whoever. It's a dragon wearing your mum's apron. So every element within the dream is directly targeted and also contain clues to the solution. That's why it's the easiest or the highest way of following the logos. What's the opposite to seeing and following the logos or dream analysis? Interpretation. Projecting your own bullshit. Therefore, the ideal material course to be open, curious, seeking truth, free of your problems, or seeking to be free of your problems, open to the self-logos, loving understanding. Philodianoia. So philodianoia, love of understanding. Gotta love understanding to be in this game. Otherwise, what are you doing? Philo. Wrong color. Philo, love, understanding, dianoia. What's the opposite? Fearing understanding. Fighting against understanding. Trying to distract, trying to get involved in name calling or suing people or personal attacks, any of that horseshit. That's the negative material cause that opposes your highest purpose or meaning of life. The actual material cause, one who is open, curious, free, seeking truth, loving understanding, because that's what gets you on the chair you're aiming to get to. The chair that you sit in as you go through dream analysis with the dialectician to purify and perfect your soul, making you more like the dialectician, making you more like the paradigm of reality that the dialectic is a reflection of, making you more like the true self. And hang on a second, we've been talking about dreams. The dialectician is doing dreams. The models apply to dreams. So our question is, how is the true self We also said all of these causes are the dialectic, because what makes us intelligent is ousia and logos. What makes use of ousia and logos is the dialectic. Therefore, all of these causes is just the material cause receptive to the dialectic on the chair. The activity, that's the highest expression of the dialectic, dream analysis. The instrumental, the functioning of understanding as the dialectician. The paradigm is not just experience divine luminosity or separating you from your physical senses to know everything all at once, but to have understanding as your method so that when you experience it, you can make sense of it. It's no good just seeing a hurling game if you have no idea what the fuck hurling is. But hey, often it can be a glimpse. You have a glimpse of a hurling game, you need to understand it to know that you shouldn't have just left at half time. Stay in it, go into it in greater depth, understand what a hurler is and what a cuckold is. I think it's called a cuckold, which has another meaning. Don't be disgusting.
Like literally suck my dick, dude.
That would be how a cuckold would function.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
1 million viewers and probably 4 trillion.
Probably 4
trillion viewers.
From silly jokes like that. So you have to experience reality through the dialectic or recognize the inherent logos in ousia. Otherwise, it's just an overwhelming experience of beauty or bliss or whatever. And the way you'll make sense of it will be just a reflection of your problems, like Jesus made sense of his divine luminosity experience or the transfiguration experience according to his Jewish beliefs, causing his fucking problem. Wow, I experienced... L. Ron Hubbard's face in divine luminosity. I experienced the grace of L. Ron Hubbard. Bollocks! Don't make sense of it through belief, make sense of it through the dialectic. So all of these causes that are our highest functioning, and it's the true functioning, not just the purpose of you, it's the purpose of every human being, because it has ousia and logos. That's what makes us different from cabbages and caterpillars and cows. The dialectic makes use of both. Therefore, we've stuffed the dialectic in all of them. Our question is, what the hell is the final cause, knowing the self as the dialectician? Notice, there's an upgrade. Billy living in the house is a different kind of dimension to everything involved in making the house. Just like your consciousness is a different dimension to all of the physical parts of your body coming together in its tended ideal functioning and order. Therefore, if all of the parts were to do with the dialectic, the model of the dialectic paradigm, the functioning of the dialectician, the instrumental, the greatest activity of the dialectic, the mean term cause, the dream analysis, the ideal material cause to be open and receptive and seeking the dialectic, both to benefit yourself from as the material, but also you have to be seeking a mastery of it because you have to be learning the language of dreams, and you will be as you go through it. So what would be a higher level of functioning of the dialectic? What I said here, mega dialectician, what would that be? But now we're saying over in our other expression of our 5 ideal causes or the meaning of life is dreams. Another unifying characteristic of all of those things is dreams. But we're missing something. We've got the material cause sitting on the seat in dream analysis. We've got the dream on the table or on the blackboard or whiteboard as the activity or mean cause. We've got the dream analysis expert functioning through the skill of the dialectic. We've even got the paradigm of the dialectic as the experience of divine luminosity that we either have experienced or have been learning through reading the text that we can all focus on. Even the pregnant party can recognize, hey, by the way, I've noticed a dialectician, the person who's leading the dream analysis, I noticed you're straying from the model of dream analysis. You're not letting me answer. You're not letting me put words on my insights. You're telling me to shut up when I'm trying to correct something. You're not letting me add to my memory of the dream from the reflection process, so long as it was actually in the dream. You're getting mad at me instead of listening to me. And you're refusing to reflect on your blocks that arise, because human blocks arise the more meaningful the activity, and literally doing dream analysis is the highest functioning of a human being. It's the most meaningful. And you're refusing to do dream analysis yourself. In other words, even the pregnant party can reflect on the model of dream analysis and needs to be. Therefore, everyone is doing all things at once. The dialectician has to judge them whether or not you're open and curious, or whether you're wasting time and you're mucking around. I mean, mucking around. It is fun and you're having fun, but you're lying about whatever. You're lying about your dream, or you think you're not actually stung or anything like that. So the dialectician judges you there. He looks at the dream, looks at the paradigm. So too the pregnant party is looking at all of them. But we're missing one thing in terms of dreams. We got the dream, we got the dreamer, we got the dream dialectician, and we got the paradigm. What are we missing? That we can fit in as the highest, or the one self that's the mega dialectician. What would be a higher functioning than even all of those? Just like Billy living in his house is a higher functioning than all of the things needed for the house. Think about it. I'll be right back. And we're back. And how come... when I adjusted my light, I knocked the USB input thing, so I've lost my... I can't hear myself. So I'll just... So, have you been thinking about it? Now, why have we been asking that? Because... Oh, I've lost my buttons. I'm going to have to click it. So, what are we missing? What would be some kind of mega dialectician greater than the model, but uses the model? Greater than the functioning of the dialectician, but can function that way and can make use of the dialectician. The same way Billy made use of the builders. He made use of the blueprints. He makes use of the builders. What would make use of humans as dialecticians to bestow a benefit? What would make use of the activity of dream analysis? And what would make use of receptive souls? While still having all of that in a higher way. What is the fundamental term that we have not put in our list of causes yet? We got self, we got ousia and logos, or dialectic. We got the soul, we got understanding, we got knowledge. Understanding and knowledge is ousia. What is the one thing we haven't put on the board yet? It is, of course... Oh, Jesus, what's happening here? Just one thing left for our question about what the hell is a kind of true self that's our ultimate cause, that has all those things and makes use of all those things, but which is also all dialectician causes, but in a higher way. What would be the mega dialectician? How about possibly Dream Master? Wouldn't the creator of the dreams that knows it can communicate through the dialectic and make use of dialecticians, make use of dreams if remembered, and make use of pregnant souls, wouldn't that be a mega dialectician? The one who makes 40 billion human dreams a night, plus every animal that dreams? each one unique, each one profound, each one reflecting the model, each one helping that pregnant soul relevant and appropriate to where they're at, each one giving a drama in the activity that can be understood, making use of the instrumental dream analysis dialectician, making use of the model of the dialectic that are in being. Yep. Dream. It seems. Now, this is just a question. This is a question. But it's significant because we can therefore wonder, what is our that for the sake of which? What's the final cause? What would the true self's functioning be? It's got to be the dialectic in some way. Could the true self be the dream maker? Is that where we're headed? Does it fit with our other patterns? Well, we looked at how the material cause, the receptive soul, applies his mind to his dreams and raises his mind to be like the activity cause of dreams, learns the language and becomes like the instrumental cause, the dream dialectician, also reflects on the paradigm as he goes up, but also by participating in this activity, he is becoming more like the dream maker too. He's learning the language of the dream maker. The dialectic is the language of the dream maker. Could that be the true self? Question mark. So, by reflecting in the last maybe 3 or 4 days, all we've been doing is reflecting on the hierarchically ordered structure of terms to find an inherent pattern running through each of them, populating it with the terms from the text and the ideal relevant terms that we also have been carrying from other Platonic and Pierre Grimes texts, but ideally from the text itself. Giving rise to a fundamental question. What the heck is phronesis? What the heck is the cognitive function beyond knowing? What the heck is the that for the sake of which? How does the one self be a mega dialectician? Or how does the one self be like the dream maker? It's all about that final cause. We are questioning what is the self. Now, it took us 3 days, and some of these episodes in the last few days have been quite long, but it's been a lot of fun. And that takes us back into the text. Because where we are in our reading is the last point being made was we were talking about Dionysius adding philosophy into the Christianity tradition, and the way he did it was by doing this. Understanding these terms and applying it to one more set: Pope, Bishop, Archbishop, Bishop, Priest, altar boy, or something like that. He used a hierarchical structure within the Christian tradition as an analogy to share an understanding of these terms, because he could see the Dark Ages are coming, the ending of philosophy and understanding for the Christian tradition to be implemented by Emperor Justinian Fuckface McGee, 529 AD, the beginning of the Dark Ages.
Like literally, suck my dick. Just shut the fuck up forever. Just shut the fuck up.
Forever.
Just for dude, suck my dick.
That's what we say to him. Right?
I love this guy.
He means me, not Justinian. So that's Dionysius. So this idea of finding a hierarchical ordered structure of key terms within a whole that would give rise to a new whole, that's what was being talked about. Therefore, that's the hidden question being given to us. If that's what they're praising Dionysius for, it means We are to do it. It's a good thing. What's the other clue? He said, oh, the last thing we finished with as well was also dreams. He was another one. Dionysius, Ficini, the last person we mentioned, didn't mention the importance of dreams. We just said Dionysius did mention the importance of dreams, but he couldn't find a way of putting it within his structure. Same too for Plato and Damascius, and I think Proclus. All of them since Socrates, they couldn't find a place for dreams and dream analysis. Therefore, that's the clue for us to do. So, find a hierarchical structuring of terms like Dionysius. Find a place of a dreams like Dionysius didn't do. And that's why Socrates just said here, he should be given high praise, but not the crown, or something like that. In other words, you make the crown. We make the crown. Find a way of putting dreams within the system. But all through the text, he's been stressing this about dreams and the fact that we have to do it. We have to find how it brings together the purification and the perfection. Dreams does both. We have to find a place for it within the hierarchy. We're putting, well, we did that. We did a list of terms. The ideal functions could be applied to the dialectic or dreams. These are all the 5 causes applied to dreams, just as dialectic. We did both. Therefore, we found a place within the metaphysics. We found a place within the philosophical or philodianoia now tradition, which is what the books have been asking us to do. That's reading, discovering these hidden questions and finding the answers in the text. Where's my mouse? That's fun. The unicity of intellect, or the paradigmatic cause, strives for union with the one itself, or the true self, or the mega dialectician, or the dream maker, is our hypothesis. We have to see it more in the text, and we also have to confirm it in our experience. So maybe people who've been following the stream are going to start getting into some dream analysis soon, considering it is our highest activity, and our highest instrumental cause, and our highest material cause, and awakens us to the paradigm. This is the highest understanding of the paradigm, and it might be our functioning of the true self, but don't tell anyone. Unless they ask nicely and they buy you a coffee. And they are, and you've judged them to be an actually open, curious material soul, and not someone who's trying to mess with you. Therefore, it's the ultimate purpose, or our spiritual fulfillment, or the destiny of man, to move through those causes to the self, or the many to the one self, the true self, the dream master, maybe. He also said, include in your list the go into the Republic and find the Platonic division of souls. Put that within your hierarchical structure, and we did. There we go. Fits 5, because 5 is what we're doing. There's also the -5, and there's also the 5 applied to the physical and 5 applied to the mind. Now, we could ask the question, therefore, is this ultimate final, first and final cause, or that for the sake of which cause, the true self as the mega dialectician and dream maker, is that a hypoxis? In other words, once we can function as the... oh, by the way, in the text, we have been Socrates has been asking us to reflect on what must be the intelligence the Dream Master has in order to function in this providential, profoundly good and caring way. Not nice, not polite, not mollycoddling you, not babying you, not agreeing with your bullshit because it's audience captured or it's a grifter. Nope. Telling the truth, giving you what you need, but artfully so, directed to where you're at and what's most appropriate. Socrates says he has shown a rational structure to theology because it reflects the logos. So therefore, what this our structure that we have on the board that we've been developing is the logos or the dialectic. It's the dialectic structure. Hang on a second, because we got it there too. See? This is the dialectic or the structure of the logos. Self to self, self to others, others to self. Others to self, or definition, demonstration, division, conclusion. Didac. We can think of a better anagram. Or was it portmanteau? What's it called when you have a word? Like ATM or FTPOS? That's the... like an acrostic poem, takes the first letter. I don't know. It's not relevant. So that's what we just read here, which is another way of saying Hellenization or entering into the higher sense of rationality. Do we have that on our map? Have we got a list of causes that are the preconditions in the physical world so that we can enter into the age of rationality? Yep, because rationality is Usia and Logos, and these is the categoristic. This is the defining characteristic of the characteristic of these 5 causes in the higher sense. So that's our true human functioning. The 5 causes apply to dialectic or dream analysis. He says apply it to music. Apply these set of causes and structures also to music. We haven't done that. But that's one you can do on your own. Figure out how music would fit in there, because it would be the music for the soul's sacred journey. And also make sure that your music would include the Parmenides in there as well. So we could add the Parmenides in to our list. Running out of space. All right, let's move this over to the side and stick in Parmenides next to the classes of souls. Zoop. Whatever. Now, we have read a little bit of Parmenides on the channel, like I think a year or so ago. You can check that out if you're interested. We will get back into it one day. His first hypothesis, which he said is from himself, of himself. Yeah. Which is the one self. So that, for the sake of which, would be the one self. His second hypothesis was the paradigm, or being, or one and being together. Now this is one self is different because it's one, yeah, it's a being. Third hypothesis is understanding, the logos. Fourth is belief. And the fifth is strict dualism, materialism. We can't know the mind. Strict dualism. Or the one self is a curious one in the first hypothesis. Second hypothesis is self knowing itself as mind, or the definition of the logos in experience. The functioning of that is understanding. The division, those who don't relate to self but only others to others, Christians to Muslims, followers to authority figures, others to others, always in conflict or division. That's belief. And those who are other from self, strict dualists. We can't know the self, we can't know the logos, we can't know the mind, we're only other. It's a negative conclusion. So we've fit the Parmenides in as instructed by the book. Set up straight. Music, we're not putting in the list, but I will think about it as I stream after this one. And yeah, if you see something about music that could fit in this list, share it in the Discord. There's a beauty. So beauty is the simplicity in which a profoundly ordered sentence is made. Or there's our Apollo, or reason. Aphrodite, the beauty and simplicity of it, both of which Jesus recognized in dreams. Dreams, therefore, is the necessary companion for the life of the spirit. Okay, so that's where we are in the text. We're bringing it all together within a hierarchically ordered system of terms that can apply to all of these different things, and our job is to find a place for dreams in it. So, going beyond Dionysius, only in that we have more than his terms. We have a bunch more sets that reflect the same logos or paradigm. And also going beyond Dionysius, and as Socrates has been telling us all through the book, find a place for dreams. There's our place. Either as all five causes, but also ultimately as the dream maker itself. And all through the text we've been reflecting on what must the dream maker know for us to give us what we need. So many times a night, for so many people, knowing our problems more than us. And we read that last time, I think, as well. It knows our problems more than us, than we do. So finding a place within this system for dreams, we're putting the dream maker at the top. So, when someone says, why are we here? Or what's the meaning of life? You can give 4 answers reflecting the 4 causes applied to the dialectic, or ousia and logos, and also give them a question, share a question that you're curious about, well, that I'm curious about, that we're curious about. The 5th cause, the first and final cause, that for the sake of which the ultimate answer, our true purpose, destiny, highest goal. Somehow the true self has to make use of these necessary other meaning of life qualities. Therefore, there is some necessity for the true self to carry with it some sort of mastery of the dialectic and mastery of dreams. What's it called to have a mastery of dreams? Can we change the word dream maker into, therefore, dream master? So the book has been using the word dream maker, but by including these other 4 causes, we can see a paradigm understanding of an activity and a thing you are directing it to, a material cause you are directing it to turn a skill into an art to benefit something or someone, makes it an art, and it's the art that can be used according to these causes to benefit, take turns, is what we call in Greek mastery. Therefore, the text has been giving us the term dream maker, but only when you recognize the 5 causes applied to the meaning of life or our excellence as a soul can you ask the question, is the dream maker then a dream master? And is that the true nature and functioning of the self that we are seeking as our final goal? Also the first goal, because maybe the dream maker is also what creates every moment, and if it's the true self, it unfolds reality as well as unfolding every dream. So just as the first cause self unfolds reality, so too the dream maker unfolds a universe in all of our dreams. It must share the same kind of profound mastery, paradigm, functioning, activity to affect a material cause and benefit. So when someone says, what's the meaning of life? You start by, hey, well, for at the beginning, it's these four causes in the material world giving you what you need to discover there is such a thing as a dialectic, for the sake of the fifth cause to be a material cause open to the dialectic to sit on the seat. But the principle of hyparxis is that final cause of the lower realm becomes the first cause of becomes the lowest cause of the next realm. Therefore, those four material physical world causes are for the sake of which, or the real meaning of life is to become an open, curious, truth-seeking, lover of understanding soul, eager to participate in dream analysis. But even that's the lowest answer to the meaning of life in the highest set, the set of mind, or the true race, the true nature of man, the dawn of the new age of reason, of mind. That which can unify all people. Therefore, if everyone has dreams, we can all be participating in the spiritual quest. Not just Christians, not just Jews, not just Muslims, not just Taoists, not just Buddhists. No need for war or exclusion or division or conflict. It's the new age of man through which we can function rationally, universally beneficially, participating in these universal principles for everyone's benefit. It's a
win-win-win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win, but it's also necessary. Only through dream analysis can we unite humanity. Therefore, if you were to make one change to humanity, it would say every single school, every single boardroom, every single workplace, the only thing you do before morning tea time is dream analysis. If that was the one thing you could add, that would probably create the best beneficial change, having an overflow to everything else. Because dream analysis will guide us in everything else we do. It'll help us pick the best leaders, it'll help us see our problems, it'll help us unify as the true human race. So when someone asks you what's the meaning of life, here are four answers. The ideal material, activity, instrumental, and paradigm cause applied to mind, or ousia and logos, or the dialectic. Apply these to the dialectic or dream analysis. Pick any one of those and you're on the ball. But likewise, you can say all of those things are the meaning of life, yes, to give rise to the ultimate meaning, or the first and final cause, or that for the sake of which, the self. And while I can't answer what that is, we have some fun questions. Is the true self a mega dialectician? Is that related to the virtue of phronesis? And is that the dream maker? And if we can understand the dream maker according to these other four causes, can we only by having the whole, only through understanding, can you upgrade your understanding of the maker of your dreams from the dream maker into the dream master? So when someone asks you what's the meaning of life, you can say, I can give you all these preliminary answers, but ultimately it leads back to one question. What is the self, and how does it relate to some sort of super dialectical functioning, and how does it relate to the dream master?
I'm always good, and that is what I stand for, being good all the time.
Making ice cream is a good and courageous thing.
No, that was a good decision. That was an inherent. No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell.
You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
We are doing good, and that's what we stand for, doing good. And because we're doing good, we are brave, and we're crossing into new boundaries. Right, Oracle?
No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
We are crossing into the new boundary, into the new age of man, but also crossing into an even newer boundary, which would therefore be the destiny of human beings, or the end of the human race when we've fulfilled our purpose, moving from the race of man, making use of Usia and Logos in the physical world, into a new stage or dimension of functioning, somehow as the mega dialectician dream master true self, while still being able to function in the human world. That's the question. And that brings back where we were in the text, what we saw in the big puzzle in the text that we saw earlier. No longer here we go. Man as a whole. This is one of the things that really stood out that we've been carrying for a while. So we've just did a review of where we were at the end of where we were reading Dionysius, hierarchically order terms, add in the Parmenides, add in the dialectic and Logos, find a place for dreams. Finished. We got it. We know where we're at now. It took us a few days, but we got there, and it was a lot of fun. So that's the end of that's where we are at the end. But during the text, we've been carrying this big puzzle too. What's the ultimate purpose of mankind? Man as a whole, says Socrates, is part of the struggle to know thyself. So there is our first and final cause, that for the sake of which cause, to know thyself, the true self, the mega dialectician, the dream master, question mark. Man as a whole is in this struggle too. It's in a cosmic dance, so we have to also include music, of meaning that ends when there is nothing left to learn. Ends when there's nothing left to learn. There is an end or purpose to our human species. There's nothing left to learn. When is the building of Billy's house complete? When there's nothing left to build. When do we know the activity is complete? When Billy can live in the house. There is an end. There is an end to the building. Now you can live in it. There is an end to our human species. There is a goal we can move into, according to the principles of reason, the dialectic. So, and in the text, this is what we've been carrying since much earlier in the text. This is 131, and we're currently at 203. So we've been carrying it for a while. That is, what's that for the sake of which for our whole species? Why do we exist? We say we have to see that there's a meaning for all human lives and a dignity that we have to appreciate and create the conditions for the flourishing of all people. There's every human being we have to respect, not respect, it's a bad word. We have to acknowledge the meaning and dignity of all human beings. But can we also, within what context? Individually and as a whole. Therefore, what's the purpose of humanity? Is there an end? It is man as a whole is in the cosmic dance of meaning, in the struggle to know thyself, and it ends. Yes, there is an end, says the text. When there is nothing left to learn. You've done all of the 4 lesser causes. And the race of man ends in that state, no longer of man, but that to which he has joined himself. Therefore, we are no longer building the house, we are now living in the house, is the metaphor to Our question: having fulfilled our purpose or meaning of life as human beings, these four causes applied to dream analysis and the dialectic, it ends when we finally reach the state of true self, the mega dialectician, maybe the dream maker or dream master. No longer in the race of man, but we have upgraded, leveled up, into that to which we have joined ourselves. So is our purpose, individually and as a whole, to join with the true self, the dream maker, the dream master, as mega dialecticians? That's our question. So, when someone asks you, what's the meaning of life? Hit them with that question rather than any of the other answers. Well, you probably have to hit the material, activity, instrumental, and paradigmatic cause applied to dialectic and dream analysis as a precursor for sharing the question where we're at. What's the meaning of life? Something about no longer being in the race of man, but joining to which, but that to which we have joined, the true self, the one self, the dream maker and dream master. That's where we're at.
Wow. Brain rot-esque, honestly, on the real. I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
And we say stuff like that because we're cool. And also because...
No, you're not the one that's mentally
unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
Because we're brave and we're not unwell, we are crossing into new boundaries. And if it's the soundboard says it, then it must be true. That's how you judge truth, if it's on the soundboard. Don't you see? Well, so, took us some work, took us some fun, took us some reflection, took us some interesting, challenging chatters that came into maybe reflect it in demonstration, what we've been defining these last 3 days. What a curious coincidence. Unless, of course, it's the Logos. Makes you think. And makes you wonder. So, wow, seen a lot, but now we're up to date in the text. Next time, we can go ahead and read on. Pretty neat, huh? 5 causes. One stands above the other 4. There is a physical expression which is linked to the the higher cause. The first and final cause is linked to the material cause of the next realm. So there's a transitional point. And also for each one of them, there is its opposition. There will be some expression of not the true self, but the false image of self expressed through the various manyness of human family clan belief traditions going all the way back to the cave. That will be in opposition of those 10. Or technically 9. Well, 9 or 10, depending if you want to count that transition one, the Hyparxis one twice. So, giving us a paradigm for our true excellence and meaning of life in the physical world and at the high dimension of mind to our ultimate purpose, but also giving us the paradigm to understand what must be the nature of human problems. Hey, why do we have suffering? Why do we have problems? What are we here to purify? Those same 10 applied to its opposite, that which functions in opposition to it. For every one of the cause, you can find a negative version or a pseudo cause, a pseudo excellence of the cause, reflecting our false image of man, of self, and all of the multiplicity in which we could have false images. Everyone's pathologos false image is different, everyone's mask is different, reflecting also the many family clan beliefs that can function in humanity. Our job therefore is to solve all of them as a race, not just creating the conditions for the excellence of those 10, but also surfacing and addressing every single opposition that comes up within our race as a collective and within ourselves as an individual that will function in opposition to each one of them, so we can address them fairly through the dialectic, therefore mastering the skill and the activity of the dialectic, the instrumental cause of the dialectic, doing our intended purpose. There's our learning and nurturing in both perfecting the excellence and purifying the pseudo versions that will be in opposition to it, reflecting all of the possible false images of the self, all of the possible negative family clan belief ways of being and states of mind, all of the negative roles, all of the kinds of interpretation, creating all of the kinds of material causes of closed-mindedness, certainty, and belief stuck in the anti-self, blocked from the self logos, and not loving understanding, but instead fearing understanding. Individually and as a collective for everyone in our species. Therefore, the 10 meaning of life causes and imperfection, and the 10 meaning of life fake images reflecting the false self that we're here to purify, that will function in opposition of those 10. There's always one and the other, which is the dialectic. Because the dialectic, as you do a dialectic, you do these to define beauty if it is, define how it functions, define the effect of the functionings on others, and as a result of being affected, what happens if beauty is. But also you have to do the same for if beauty doesn't exist, if it's a physical thing only, if beauty is in the eye of the beholder, if beauty is something to do with like fucking evolutionary theory or some bullshit, and not creates or explains evolutionary theory, but as a higher cause, a cause of evolutionary theory. If it's just a physical thing, in other words. So, likewise too, for each of the excellence, you have the opposition. Not if beauty doesn't exist, but if the self, dream analysis, dialectic, ousia, and logos doesn't exist. That's the negatives. So you could say in the physical world, all of these are making use of ousia, logos, dialectic, and dream analysis. Therefore, all of physical oppositions will be, what if those qualities didn't exist in our physical world? And equally so in the realm of mind. What if you were the material cause that didn't have self, ousia, logos, dialectic, dream analysis? Actually, I've just recognized that's a list of 5. Self, ousia, logos, dialectic, dream analysis. I wonder if we could even put those 5 defining characteristics of what makes excellence and the opposition and absence and opposition to those things being what defines human problems and suffering. If there's 5 distinguishing terms that we've come to, I wonder if they even fit within the causes. That's something you can wonder about. And I will wonder about too. And I will continue to wonder about that until I see you next time. Hooray. Wow. So, wonder about that. And wonder about what that true self dream maker mega dialectician is. Keep on wondering. Be stung. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me in chat. If you want to follow along on Twitch and YouTube, you can. There's a link to the text below. You can join the Discord, and there's a link to donate if you have the means and you want to support the channel. That is appreciated. And I will see you with that question in your back pocket. Don't throw it in the trash. Wherever you go, wherever you find yourself, in whatever dimension, and maybe even if you reach that higher state of the self, don't you want to bring your question with you there too? I would. Maybe we could have fun with that question when I meet you there, when we meet each other there. Perhaps. So much to wonder about. That's the philosophical speculation that we can carry with us in each moment that takes us out of our interpretations and fantasies and projections of our beliefs that do nothing other than solidify the negative. Wonder about this, and you've got yourself a golden ticket. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.